How much whiskey do you need to add to your Glencairn glass to get the most out of your whiskey experience? We're going to find out on today's whiskey experiment. What's up, whiskey nerds? Welcome back to the Whiskey Experiment, the channel all about bringing science and whiskey together to help improve your whiskey experience. Now, my name is Jake, and today we are talking about Glencairns, the Glencairn Whiskey Glass. The glass loved by whiskey lovers, whiskey drinkers, whiskey connoisseurs, whiskey snobs. All whiskey drinkers around the world tend to gravitate towards this glass. And there's a good reason for it. This is a glass designed specifically for drinking and enjoying whiskey. The glass is designed in such a way that the geometry actually helps you smell all the goodness inside the whiskey. Those aromas evaporate out of the whiskey, get condensed into this general area where it then goes in your nose, and you enjoy it. But the key to this glass comes down to how the whiskey interacts with the air. And to understand this more, first, we need some whiskey. Now I'm going to start out pouring a very specific amount of whiskey. We're going 50 milliliters and then another 5. That's 55 milliliters exactly. Now, according to the internet, and as President Abraham Lincoln once said, everything you see on the internet is true. At least that's what I saw that he said on the internet. 55 milliliters is the exact amount you need to reach the widest point in this glass. Now, it's a very specific amount, but what we're trying to do is maximize the surface area of the whiskey within the glass. The more surface area we have, in theory, that's the more whiskey interacts with the air and produces those aromas that go up into the glass for you to smell. So that's important when we're talking about the amount of whiskey, because if you have any less than that, as you can see, it slopes down. You would have less whiskey, meaning less surface area, which, if we're saying surface area is the key driver for the amount of aromas in the glass, you would have less aromas. But is that true? I think there's a few complicating factors here. The more alcohol you have, the more ethanol you have, and the less ability you may actually have physically to smell all those aromas. But another thing is, when you have less whiskey in the glass, it may impede that ability to smell it, or it may be easier. Now, that doesn't make any sense, right? You're saying, Jake, what the hell are you talking about? That doesn't, you are out of your mind. How does less whiskey smell stronger? That doesn't make any... Look, it's okay. I'm gonna explain. Do you ever put your whiskey in glass and just leave it like this and go, yep, oh yeah. Does something feel missing here? Are you just screaming at me through the screen going, why the hell is he not swirling that glass? That's right, you gotta make it dizzy, as Matt says. When you do this, technically, you are spreading the whiskey around the glass. Now you can see on the glass how far up it goes. It's not staying in that one spot. It's going further up the glass. It gets all the way up here, and it sticks to the glass. And when it sticks to the glass, you have more whiskey now as surface area to interact with the air. It doesn't last forever, that's why you need to keep swirling it, but you can do that with less whiskey in the glass, can't you? Well, there's only one way to really test this out, and that is to pour a bunch of glasses of whiskey with a bunch of different amounts of whiskey in those glasses and see if we can tell a difference. To see if there is a minimum amount of whiskey we can put in that glass and still get the full experience. I'm gonna get some whiskey, I'm gonna get some glasses, and we'll be right back. All right, so here we got our glasses set up. First, let's talk about whiskey. For this experiment, we want something that's not too low proof that we're not really gonna see a good result, but also not too high proof that it's gonna just wash everything out. So what we've got is something right in the middle, which is 100 proof. This is Early Times bottled in bond. This is Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. It's aged at least 4 years, 100 proof, all the good bottled in bond stuff about it. And it's delicious. Great value pour. If you see a bottle, get a bottle, it's good. But I digress. We're using this whiskey in every glass, and each glass we're actually going to use a different amount of whiskey. The first glass is, of course, that control, what I poured before, which is 55 milliliters. Now I've got this control already poured, obviously. I'm gonna pour the rest of these, and then I'll tell you what levels they're gonna be. I'll be right back. All right, we poured our whiskey glasses here, and let me tell you what's in each of them. Of course, they're all Early Times, but they're varying quantities. The control is going to be that 55 milliliters or 1.86 fluid ounces. We've got this first experiment glass, which has 1 ounce, which comes out to about 30 milliliters. This next one is 3/4 of an ounce, which is 22 milliliters. This next one is 1/2 ounce, which is about 15 milliliters. And then finally, 1/4 of an ounce or 7 milliliters. This is obviously not a lot of whiskey, so this should be an interesting experiment. I'm gonna go through each of these individually to see how it compares to the control. We're only gonna do nosing here because really that's all that matters. The more I drink from this, the less accurate the experiment is gonna be. So let's start off with the 1 ounce. Another key distinction here is I'm not going to swirl them at first. Definitely very similar. It's hard to really tell any difference at all. I'm trying to close my eyes if that helps in any way. So far, I think I just look like an idiot. Let me know in the comments below. Just kidding, please don't do that. Yeah, I can't tell the difference. Those are identical to me. Nothing different. Good to know. Moving on. This is 3/4 of an ounce. Okay, we do have a little bit of a difference here. The ethanol jumps out of this glass. And I don't know if that's a matter of, the surface area or just the fact that my nose is literally just closer to the whiskey. But it definitely has more of a burn on the nose. But honestly, I prefer this because it does have less of a burn. I feel like I could smell a little bit more of the whiskey. Yeah, it's so much, it's almost hard to get past the alcohol. All right. It's a difference, but I think it's an improvement. Let's move on though. This is 1/2 ounce. Now this isn't very much. It's certainly, well, let's just get into it. Wow. Definitely don't get the alcohol nearly as much. I get sweetness and oak and brown sugar. That jumps out of the glass, which is really nice. Wow, that's very interesting. All right, moving on to the final one, and then we're gonna swirl them. This is 1/4 of an ounce. Yeah, you're losing it for sure. I mean, you can smell there's whiskey in the glass, don't get me wrong. It's just, it's hard to pick it apart. You can smell just a tiny bit of oak, maybe a little bit of cherry, but there's not much else. You're kind of losing it. It's basically gone. All right, now I'm gonna go back through them, but I'm really gonna give them a swirl. And I'm gonna swirl them both. Let's start with this one. I swirled this one before, so it's, this shouldn't do a whole lot different to it, but gotta get it dizzy. And this one. Now this is the 1 ouncer. All right, now let's compare. Yep, alcohol. cherry, oak, everything I smelled in the other ones. Ooh, there's the alcohol. Oh. Yeah, these are pretty much identical. Maybe a tinge more alcohol burn, but these are definitely the same whiskey. They're practically indistinguishable from each other, except for that tiny bit of alcohol burn, but it's not that big of a difference. Let's move on to the 3/4 of an ounce and swirl. I don't get that much alcohol. I don't know why I talk like this. I do get some alcohol. It's definitely more than the first time. And I think more of a direct comparison, to be honest. The thing of note is, right after I swirled this glass, you could get a lot of the ethanol and a lot of the flavors and smells that you're getting out of the control, but it does die away a little bit. When it settles back down, it really goes back to what it was before, which is a little bit sweeter, a little bit less burn. So I'm just gonna spin it around again one more time and see if that pops right back out. Yeah, it does. Very interesting. All right, let's try these last two. I think I'm really gonna make these work for it, you know what I mean? They're just gonna be spinning right round. I'm not gonna stop. I'm just gonna keep going. This is gonna be the rest of the video. I'm just kidding. Nothing. Ooh, I gotta really stick my nose in there. Get my schnoz way up in there. But I can really sniff, I mean. Maybe that was a bad idea. Ooh, all right. I'm not gonna do that again. You certainly don't get as much. I'm kind of disappointed. I mean, I can really stick my nose in there, but when I do, it's just ethanol. I'm not getting the other things, which nobody likes just getting ethanol, unless you're a vodka person. But who's drinking vodka out of a Glencairn? Psychopaths, probably. That's probably who. And I imagine maybe vodka tasters? Is that a thing? Like blenders? Surely. I don't know. Yeah, it loses it a little bit. All right, we've had enough of that glass. Let's move on to the last glass. And I mean, that's not much, but let's. I get more sweetness this round, or just more. I get more. I definitely get more this time around. More of everything, but not by a lot. I still think it's not enough there. It's not enough there to really experience what this whiskey is. And that's what we're going after, right? We're trying to understand how this would improve or make your whiskey experience that much better. And personally, I think what it comes down to is you don't need the full amount of whiskey. This is a lot of whiskey, and I just don't think it's necessary. I do think that if you're pouring half an ounce or less, maybe you're not really getting the most out of it. But when it comes to either an ounce or even 3/4 of an ounce, I thought did a pretty good job. I think an ounce is plenty to really be able to understand this whiskey. I thought it was almost identical to the control. If you think you need to pour this amount of whiskey, this 1.8672539 whatever ounces of whiskey, you don't need to. If you want to, live your life. I mean, drink responsibly, but live your life. However, from a scientific standpoint, I don't think you need to. I think 1 ounce is plenty. And I even think 3/4 of an ounce is just about enough. I mean, you do need to swirl it a good bit to really get into it a little bit more. But at the end of the day, I do think it is a sufficient amount to understand and enjoy and experience this whiskey. Now, with that said, I think that concludes our experiment here. Thank you so much for watching. This is a growing channel. It's a new channel. We're trying to really make this into something that's fun for you, something you enjoy watching. And if you have any comments or feedback, please let me know down below. If you're enjoying this, which video, if you have a favorite video, which direction you want to see this channel go. This is an amazing community. I'm so happy to be a part of it, but I want to include you as well. So let me know, give me your feedback. But other than that, all the normal YouTube things, please click the like button. It helps out a ton. You know what they say, go ahead and smash that like button. But seriously, you don't have to do that, just click it. It's just, you just hover over and click, or if you're on your phone, just, you know, tap it. It's fine. That's enough. You don't need to smash it. It's okay. I understand. Thank you though. If you want to see some pretty pictures of all this whiskey, including this one, go to @thewhiskeyexperiment on Instagram. We're over there. And if you want to see more of this content, go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you click the little bell icon next to it, you'll get notified whenever we make new videos, which is awesome because then you can be the first to see this. And not many people see it, so it's really exclusive right now. And yeah, you really want to be in on that. It's like a club that only you can join, except also everybody in the public can see it. But you'll know first, which makes you special, but you're already special. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Again, this has been The Whiskey Experiment. My name is Jake, and as I always say, never stop experimenting. We'll see you next time.